Sugarhill Gang were called the biggest plagiarists in hip-hop history. They stole lyrics from underground legends and ripped off disco icons without permission. But here's the twist that nobody talks about. Despite all the lies, lawsuits, and scandals, these three guys from New Jersey accidentally created the blueprint that launched hip-hop into the stratosphere and changed music forever. Let me take you back to 1979, when hip-hop was just a street party in the Bronx. No recording studios, no record deals, just DJs spinning breaks while MCs hyped up crowds in parks and community centers. The culture was raw, authentic, and completely underground. Most pioneers thought rap should stay that way. They believed recording it would kill the live energy that made it special. This created a massive market gap. While guys like Grandmaster Flash were perfecting their craft, nobody was thinking about making money from it. Enter Sylvia Robinson, a music industry veteran from the 1950s. She started as singer Little Sylvia, had a hit with Mickey and Sylvia called Love is Strange, and founded All Platinum Records with her husband. They named it All Platinum so distributors would pay them first alphabetically. When Robinson heard rap music in the late 70s, she immediately saw dollar signs. She had the business sense that Bronx pioneers lacked, but instead of working with established crews, she manufactured her own group. She auditioned random rappers and assembled them like a boy band. Henry Jackson became Big Bank Hank, Michael Wright became Wonder Mike, and Guy O'Brien became Master G. They weren't friends, weren't from the same neighborhood, and definitely weren't part of the underground scene. When Grandmaster Flash first heard rappers Delight on the radio, his reaction was legendary. Sugarhill who? The entire Bronx scene was shocked because nobody knew these guys existed. The real scandal was just beginning. Big Bank Hank had been working as part-time manager for Grandmaster Caz and the Cold Crush Brothers. According to Caz, Hank borrowed his rhyme book promising to help him get a record deal. Instead, Hank used those exact rhymes for his verse on Rapper's Delight. The smoking gun? Hank literally spelled out Caz's old stage name. I'm the Casanova, referring to Casanova Fly. Caz later revealed that Hank only asked permission after the record was already successful. Wonder Mike and Master G claimed they had no idea about the stolen lyrics since they weren't part of the Bronx scene. They were unfairly lumped in with Hank's deception and later worked to legitimize themselves with Caz. The irony is perfect. In the same song where Hank used stolen rhymes, he raps about never letting an MC steal your rhymes. The hip-hop community saw this as the ultimate betrayal. In a culture where authenticity was everything, stealing another rapper's entire routine was unforgivable. But wait, it gets worse. The music itself was also borrowed. Most people think the Sugarhill Gang sampled Chic's Good Times, but that's not exactly true. Digital sampling barely existed in 1979. Instead, producer Sylvia Robinson hired a 17-year-old bassist named Chip Sheeran to recreate the famous bass line live in the studio. She paid him $70 to play it perfectly for 15 minutes straight without making a mistake. When Nile Rodgers from Chic heard Rapper's Delight in a New York nightclub, he immediately recognized his bass line and threatened to sue for copyright infringement. Sugarhill Records quickly settled out of court, giving Rodgers and his partner Bernard Edwards co-writing credits and an undisclosed financial settlement. Interestingly, Rodgers later called it one of his favorite songs of all time and praised it as innovative and important. This settlement created the first major precedent for intellectual property in hip-hop. It established that even recreated music required proper credit and compensation. Every sampling lawsuit that followed can trace its roots back to this moment. Despite the controversies, Rapper's Delight became the first hip-hop song to crack the top 40. It proved rap could sell records and reach mainstream audiences. The song is now preserved in the Library of Congress for its cultural significance. The Sugarhill Gang had accidentally created a bridge between underground culture and commercial success, but their biggest battle was yet to come, and this one would last 30 years. According to Wonder Mike and Master G, Sugarhill Records ran a complete con game on them. After their initial payouts, they claimed they received almost no royalty checks despite the song's massive success. The label allegedly used their inexperience against them, ultimately trademarking their stage names and even the group name itself. This meant the Robinson family legally owned their identities. This wasn't just a bad business deal, it was identity theft on a corporate level. The exploitation took a serious toll on both artists. Master G fell into what he described as a deep state of violent depression and turned to drugs. He eventually had to rebuild his life by selling magazines door to door. Wonder Mike's frustration and bitterness toward the label grew increasingly aggressive over the years. The situation got even more twisted in the late 90s. Joey Robinson Jr., Sylvia Robinson's son, started performing under the stage name Master G alongside Big Bank Hank. Imagine fighting for decades to get your name back, only to watch watch the label owner's son literally wear your identity on stage. This pattern of exploitation wasn't unique to the Sugarhill Gang. Court records show that Sugarhill Records was involved in multiple fraudulent licensing schemes. In one case involving Spoonie G's Spoon and Rap, a federal court found that the label's copyright registrations were fraudulent and they had illegally collected hundreds of thousands of dollars. The label was also subject to grand jury investigations on both coasts and eventually closed in 1986 after protracted litigation with MCA Records. The documentary I Want My Name Back chronicles Wonder Mike and Master G's three-decade fight to reclaim their identities. Director Roger Paradiso framed it as both a buddy movie and a Rocky story, two friends refusing to give up against impossible odds. The film revealed that their struggle wasn't just about money, but about legacy and the right to control their own story. For years, they were legally banned from using their own group's name. They had to perform under the awkward title Rapper's Delight, featuring Wonder Mike and Master G. It was humiliating, but they kept fighting. Finally, in 2014, they won. The legal dispute was resolved, and they regained the right to perform as the Sugarhill Gang. They continued with a new third member, Henry Hen Dog Williams. The victory came just months before Big Bank Hank's death, making it bittersweet but meaningful. So what's the real story here? The Sugarhill Gang's legacy is completely contradictory. Yes, they used stolen lyrics. Yes, they borrowed music without permission. Yes, they were manufactured by a producer instead of forming organically. But they also proved that hip-hop could be commercially successful on a global scale. Their controversies became the template for every major issue that would define the music industry for decades. The lyrical theft from Grandmaster Caz established debates about authenticity and credibility that still rage today. The Chic settlement created the legal framework for how sampling and interpolation would be handled. Their exploitation by Sugarhill Records became a cautionary tale about predatory contracts and artist rights. Without the Sugarhill Gang's success, major labels might never have paid attention to hip-hop. Artists like Grandmaster Flash, Africa Bambaataa, and Run DMC might not have gotten their record deals. The entire commercial infrastructure of rap music can be traced back to Rapper's Delight, proving there was money to be made. Even their legal battles served a purpose. Wonder Mike and Master G's 30-year fight helped establish important precedents about artist rights and trademark protection. Their documentary raised awareness about industry exploitation and inspired other artists to fight for their own names and legacies. The truth is complicated. The Sugarhill Gang weren't the most authentic hip-hop group, but authenticity isn't everything. They weren't the most talented rappers, but talent isn't everything either. What they were was perfectly positioned to be hip-hop's commercial breakthrough. They had a producer with industry connections, a catchy hook, and timing that couldn't be replicated. Sylvia Robinson deserves credit as a visionary who recognized rap's potential when nobody else would take the risk. But she also represents the dark side of the industry, the exploitation and manipulation that would become standard practice. Her legacy is just as contradictory as the group she created. Looking back, the Sugarhill Gang story feels inevitable. Hip-hop was too powerful to stay underground forever. Someone was going to commercialize it, and it probably wasn't going to be the purists who created it. The pioneers of the Bronx were focused on the art and the culture. It took an outsider with industry experience to package it for mass consumption. The plagiarism controversies that defined their early career now seem like footnotes compared to their larger impact. Grandmaster Caz eventually made peace with the situation and acknowledged the group's historical importance. Nile Rodgers embraced Rapper's Delight as one of his favorite songs. Even the harshest critics admit that the song opened doors for countless artists. Today, the Sugarhill Gang is rightfully recognized as pioneers who launched hip-hop from the streets to the world stage. Their journey from accused plagiarists to celebrated innovators proves that history is written by results, not just origins. They created the blueprint for commercial hip-hop success, and every rapper who's ever signed a record deal owes them a debt of gratitude. Their contradictory legacy actually makes perfect sense for hip-hop, a genre built on sampling, borrowing, and transforming existing culture into something new. The Sugarhill Gang did exactly that, just in a way that nobody expected. They took the underground sound of the Bronx, mixed it with disco grooves, added commercial polish, and created something that could reach the entire world. The scandals, the lawsuits, the exploitation, it all became part of hip-hop's DNA. The genre's relationship with authenticity, sampling, and artist rights was forged in the fires of the Sugarhill Gang's controversies. Their story taught the industry valuable lessons about giving credit where credit is due, compensating original creators, and protecting artist identities.